Well, hey everybody, this is Edmir here again, and I'm I'm still in the race for the second position, the second district here in Washington, and you know what? It's Monday now. I've been up a little bit too late, and the election's on Tuesday, so I know probably everybody's pretty much got their tickets, their ballots done now. But for anyone who hasn't filled it out yet, let's be honest, what you have on the ticket to choose from. The person who's new in town who recognizes that 20-year-old projects have been um, ignored and been being neglected need to get done, and a person who has a fire in his hole or fire in his hole, a fire in his heart, and is willing to fight to get these projects done. Or you can go with the corrupt politician who, in the last 20 years, all Mr. Wilcox has really done is pass bills and amendments that allow his company to skirt laws that have been passed that other people in the industry that he's in have to follow. And in doing so, he's enriched himself and his family. So those are your choices: corrupt politician, new guy. And if you're a MAGA Republican and you want MAGA leadership in the party, you should be wanting to vote for me anyway, because if I take Mr. Wilcox's spot, the next person in line to take a leadership position in the Republican Party is basically a MAGA Republican. So a real MAGA Republican, not a guy who will denounce Trump. So if that's what you're wanting, as a person who's going to support Trump and support Trump's agenda, leading the Republican Party, you should be voting for me anyway. So, yeah, anyway, but that's all I really want to talk about on that, because yeah, it's pretty much too late to do anything. So let's talk about something else here. Um, I want to talk about the violence that we're going to be. I know a lot of people are worried about that's going to be happening here, and I want to tell a story because I think a lot of what I'm seeing is just a repeat, but on a much larger scale, much more grander scale. So when I was living back in Cincinnati, I lived in a town called Hamilton where I had a two-bedroom apartment that I paid $476 a month on. I thought it was a little nice apartment. My better half thinks it was a slum. Either way. But uh, when I was living there, a a kid was murdered, and the mother immediately blamed a guy who lived in one of the other buildings, and she accused him of being a child molester and a pedophile and all this other stuff. And she said he murdered the kid. And um, in the process of a week or two, every day there was a candlelight vigil where 100 people or 100 or so people showed up for it. Pardon me. In that time, that mother was able to radicalize all these people so that um, one day when they caught this guy coming out of his house, his apartment building, they basically chased after him, and they were armed. So it went from a candlelight vigil to a murder mob in a heartbeat. The guy was able to be to find police officers. They took him into custody, kept him safe from the mob, but the mob wanted to fight the cops, to get this guy, and they were just like they were hell bent on killing him. And um, what ended up happening was that night the chief of police came out. They had put the guy in protective custody, but they arrested the mother and the boyfriend, and they charged them with the murder of the young boy. And what it turned out was they had actually murdered the kid and then lied about it as an attempt to kill two birds with one stone. There's a lot more going on in this story. I'm really bridging this down a lot, but um, I see a lot of that today. I see a lot of people being told you should arm yourselves, you should do this, you should do that, and they're being people are being told to do things that they normally wouldn't do, And just like this murderous mob, I mean, they had it in for this guy. I mean, why would you bring weapons to a candlelight vigil? You know, but they were told to because they'd been radicalized by this woman and her boyfriend. And uh, I remember it took a while. It with that case, it didn't take that long. It took a day or two for everybody just to realize that they were being stupid. But right now, we have a very serious problem where we have a bunch of people who are being told to do things like go to polls with weapons to confront people if they think that um, they shouldn't be there, or this shouldn't happen, or that shouldn't happen. There's all this stuff going on, and this is not going to end well. And so, just like this story, I think where the mother and the boyfriend, manipulate this crowd to do their bidding, I think people are going to make some bad decisions, and they're going to make some mistakes. And I think there might be some violence that might happen. But what you need to remember is I think everybody just needs to take a step back and remember, these are other Americans. They're they're not Satanists. They're not pedophiles. They're not child molesters. They're Americans. And the reality check is that we need to be able to see through propaganda and lies. But you know, I don't know. I keep doing these videos because I keep wanting to talk about different things, and it takes forever. Because I've had friends already who've been confronted and engaged by masked men with weapons at polling places when they're dropping off the drop box. One of my friends said where they have the drop box at, it's 24 hours. They have cameras on it. They go out. They poll on a regular basis. But he dropped his ballot in the middle of the night, and he got confronted. I and I'm listening to him talk about it, and he's like, man, I wish I had my gun. And I was like, oh Lord, you know. But they wouldn't let him leave, until he identified himself. So he's sitting there dialing 911, trying to get police officers to show up, and he he's Republican. He voted Republican, but he was like, "Who the hell are you guys think you are?" You know. I have a friend of mine. He voted. No friend. He's talking about how he dropped off the drop box, and they confronted him before he could drop off, and they took his ballot away from him. And they're like telling me they don't want him voting. So there's stuff going on. There is stuff happening, and people are fired up. And what I'm trying to say is, if you're doing stuff because you're being told by Steve Bannon or any of these people who are running for office right now that you should be doing violent things and you should be acting this way, you need to take a step back and you need to breathe. You need to realize you're about to do something illegal, gravely illegal, and you're going to go to jail. And if you do this to the wrong person, and that person is a gun-toting Republican who's not in the mood for any bullshit, you're going to get killed. That's it. That's it, man. You may think that nothing of this stuff is going to happen to you, but it will. So everybody just take a breath, sit back. Let's remember something. We're all Americans here. This is a constitutional right for every American to do this. And let's not forget that, like, just, I don't know. I can't even put it in words. I'm so shocked by the fact that there's so much violence, and the possibility of violence is going to happen this election just because somebody wants to play a game that's very dangerous, and a lot of lives are going to be lost on. And oh, people talking about a civil war. I'm from Ohio. I mean, we fought with other states before the Civil War. I mean, that's what the whole Battle of Toledo was. But I mean, this is kind of rhetoric that actually was being done at the beginning of the Civil War. This is why the Southern troops killed the Union troops, where people killed their own family. Lies and rhetoric. I've seen it destroy a family. I mean, I've seen it destroy my family. I mean, my daughter's dead. My one daughter is dead today because people didn't want, I don't know if it's they didn't want me to be happy or they didn't want a black child in the family. Well, they probably both. Probably both. But it was hateful rhetoric, and it led to my daughter being killed. And I blame those people for it. They were in my family. And then when you think about like this rhetoric that's going on right now, you have people who are talking about killing their kids if they turn them into the FBI for the stuff they did in Washington D.C. I mean, if you thought you didn't do anything wrong, you wouldn't go make a threat to your kid. I mean, just think about that. If you thought you weren't doing something illegal, you wouldn't be wearing a mask to hide your identity. If you thought you weren't doing something illegal, you would have no problem talking to reporters. People know they're doing stuff illegal. People know they're breaking the law. People know that there's stuff happening. I'm not exactly known for being not controversial in a lot of things. I think Will Smith should have smacked the crap out of Chris Rock. Chris Rock knew in his mind that Will Smith would never do anything to him because he was the good guy. You never saw Chris Rock ever talk shit about Ice-T's wife or Ice Cube's wife, basically because they would have taken him out back and capped his ass. um, but I also I feel that the kid up in I think it was Wisconsin who shot those three people. Um, I think he should have gone to jail because and I think the person who pulled the gun on him pulled it on him for self-defense. Again, one of the things I think a lot of these people have not thought about ever since that trial is that those people who have concealed carry licenses, who have guns legally, who are on the other side or on the left, people are on the middle who would go and protest or do something like that, or are at their homes or are going to go to the ballot boxes and go and vote now. They have spent the time since that trial preparing themselves for having to kill a person. They always thought, oh no, if I pull a gun on someone, I can scare them. They're not going to do anything. They'll back off. Now they know that that person is not going to back off. That person's going to kill them or shoot them or try to kill them. So now they've decided, they've gone through training now. So if they pull a gun, they're going to shoot you. If you make a threat, if you try to shoot him, I mean, he got lucky. He jammed. The guy pulled the gun. He was able to clear his gun and do everything. The reality now, he'd be dead. And that's the thing that people need to remember now. This is going to, if you think you're going to go to these places and you're going to be unstoppable, no one's going to stand up to you because nobody on the left's going to be armed. Whitmer, I think his name was, he only is alive today because a person didn't want to kill him. But he had no problem with the killing of other people. And that them not wanting to kill you, that's gone. They've changed. They've gone to training. They've done it. I know people who've gone to training classes to teach themselves how to be okay with killing another person, especially in self-defense. This is why it's important for us all to back off and cool down. But it's okay. You know what? I'm just a guy running as an independent here in Washington. And if nobody in this country wants to believe me or listen to me, I can't help it. I mean, it's going to be what it is. I am going to go, and Tuesday I'm going to be working. And when I get off work, I'm going to come home. I'm going to have a glass of whiskey because I know I'm pulling at 20%. And then I'm going to go to bed. And I'm going to hope that this country doesn't self destruct that night. Pardon me. They will. If you listen to me, thank you. If not, then I pray that you don't do anything foolish. All right. That's it. I've beaten this horse to death. Good night, everybody. As I've said, this is gonna be my last video. As I've said, I've seen the polling. I'm at 20%, so I'm not expecting anything. But I have promised people I will help them, and come Wednesday morning, I'm going to start my research and seeing what I can do to help these people that I made promises, because I tend to try to keep the promises that I make. Y'all have a good day. Be safe. God bless.